welcome to our monthly mindfulness meditation session. And maybe you want to use the time to just make sure that you do have a bit of privacy, that you don't get disturbed for the practice. Maybe have to, close your room wherever you are, or if you sit outside, just making sure that you're not too exposed, that you can handle that. Or if you are watching this on the phone and tuning in for the practice on your mobile device, just make sure that you don't get distracted with any calls or messages. I believe there is a button somewhere that you can turn off. Or if you are on a computer screen, then maybe make sure that you have closed all the other programs, because you don't need anything for the session. Maybe also putting your mobile device on silence, that might be really good. And if you are here already, I see a few people already sort of here, would be really nice. If you care, just say hello, use that sort of little field, the chat box, and just put in, whatever you want to put in, but you don't have to. It's always nice to engage with other people and connect, as this is one of the purposes to do the practice, to get together, to stay connected with the practice of mindfulness meditation. For many who've been through the courses and who are graduates of mindfulness-based courses, maybe you've done some courses with me or with some other teachers. So everyone, even if you're new to the practice, feel welcomed and appreciated in this space, because I strongly believe this is important for us to get together and to connect in this particular way by sort of tuning inwards and also discovering this whole world inside the space that we carry in the midst of our heart, and to sort of, explore and embody that universe that we have within us. So that's what we want to do today. I will guide you through a mindfulness meditation practice. Again, if you have not done this before, then remember, this is not something that you can fail. This is also not something that you have to empty your mind and that you have to not have any thoughts. Actually, the opposite is the case. You will, or many of you, or a few of you will notice as soon as you're slowing down, the mind is really jumping on and loves that space and wants to claim that space and wants to be active and be seen and listened to and heard and whatnot. So this is all part of it, and I will provide you with some instructions in between what to do if that occurs. The main purpose is actually really to be responsive, equanimous, kind of non-reactive to whatever is arising in each and every moment, whether that is in that mental landscape, whether it's a thought or an emotion, or whether that's a felt sense or sensation in the body, or a sound that is appearing unexpectedly, or whatever else happens, any form of distraction. That's a radical way of being with our experience, really sort of observing that, but also accessing that inner space that also creates a deeper sense of embodiment and connectedness. So even though you can't see each other on the screen, still knowing that you are actually not alone, that you're joined by like-minded people, which is a wonderful thing. And if there is something popping up for you during the practice, just, make sure that you have something that you sort of can anchor. You can always sort of open the eyes. If you prefer to close your eyes during the practice, you can bring in some movement. Don't lock yourself into a position that is perhaps not really wise or skillful, again, depending on the level of your experience. And guess what? Even, if people are very experienced in the meditation, that does not mean that no thoughts are arising. Actually, that happens, and they just, respond to it in that particular way, observing, responding kindly, being with, and maybe sending some compassion towards whatever is arising. So if you do have questions in between, jot them down, maybe hold back to the end of the session. Maybe we do a meditation practice for about 30 minutes. Don't want to go beyond. And we'll give some space at the end. If you like, you can share, or as I said, ask a few questions, but we'll see how we go. So yes, maybe it's a good way to Settle in, and as you're settling into the posture, again, you can just sit on a chair as I do, or you can come on a meditation bench or meditation cushion, or you can lay down, or if you prefer standing, you can even do that, or whatever other posture you come up with that may help you and support you in your practice, go for it. So we often rush into these sort of settling into the practice. So I really like you to give it some space and moment. And if you are already in position, then just noticing your presence as you are tuning into the now. And we really want to explore today that inner space within us that's very rich and expansive. As I said, it's that universe inside, and that helps us encompassing our thoughts and emotions and the very essence of our being. So for some, it will be sort of possible to really get into that deeper space. And if that is not happening for you today, that is not a problem. Just the matter of fact that you're showing up and that you're here right now is already a sign of compassion and commitment towards yourself and others. So in our practice, of course, we want to, as we embody this, we want to mirror the elements of life. And what is that as we sort of tune in? It's the vastness of the sky. It's the warmth of the sun. And depending on where you are, if you are here in Perth, then the sun is very strong at the moment. But it's also the solidity of the earth, so that groundedness that we sort of experience and receive, that support from the earth. And also the element of the water. That is something that we sort of will become aware of in our practice, more or less. So let's sort of be aware. Just be aware of what your preference is, whether you have your eyes closed already, or whether you prefer to close your eyes, or whether you want to keep them partially open. Everything is possible. Experiment with this. Again, I don't know how experienced you are in the practice. So just take care of this and ownership, and allow yourself to experiment with eyes closed or partially open. Settling into this meditation means descending awareness inside. And perhaps a good way to begin this is by, of course, noticing the entire body in its posture. And maybe taking a moment to appreciate, acknowledge, as part of your settling in, that you have taken the time. Maybe at the end of a very long and busy day. Maybe in the midst of a particular task. Maybe in a very deliberate way to pause and to step out of the agenda and to create and access that inner space in this particular way. Just taking note of what brings you here. And as you do so, also maybe allowing yourself a moment to set an intention for the practice. And rather than setting an expectation towards the outcome of this practice, it is more the invitation to sort of really remember those attitudes that we want to bring towards ourselves in this space, helping us in our intention to be, maybe if that's for you, be fully present and connect with the now, or to respond with compassion as you are practicing utilizing attitudes like patience, openness, curiosity, awareness, acceptance, a non-striving attitude. That is something that we often do not really practice, because in our ordinary life we strive very often for a particular outcome, to accomplish something, to achieve something. So here it is very much an opportunity to practice a non-striving attitude and taking moment by moment as it is unfolding. But also that one that is helping us in not judging whatever is arising, not judging the thoughts, not judging the mind, not judging the emotions or sensations. So just purely witnessing, observing, embodying the experience, and just noticing what attitude sort of resonates with you, maybe just choosing one or two attitudes for the practice as part of your intention. And really noticing what it's like to show up in this particular way and to actually really give it some moment to set an intention for the practice. So noticing your feet flat on the floor if you are in a seated posture. And feeling the support of the earth beneath. Really noticing that connection that is created here. Again, if you are in a different posture, then there are different parts of the body that are in connection with the earth, but still getting that sense of being held and supported in the here and now. And if you like, taking in a deep breath, breathing in deeply and filling your lungs. And then exhaling slowly, feeling the sensations of the breath leaving your body. And really focusing on the attention of the breath, being aware of this inhalation. If you prefer to really sort of bring in a few more deep breaths, to really fully fill your lungs, go for it. And then breathing out slowly to empty your lungs and to let those sensations of the breath leave the body. So in particular, if you're noticing if there is a bit of a sense of restlessness, maybe then it is actually quite deliberate and intentional to really deep breathing, sort of to do the deep breathing, as it really helps you focusing on this, if that is possible, and noticing that long extended exhalation to complete that cycle of breathing. So as you're following the air in and out of the body, that is connected and supported by the earth, allowing a sense of openness and kindness or friendliness towards yourself in this practice, inviting that in, or whatever attitude would resonate with you for now. As you continue being aware of the breath going into this body, maybe it is a deep breath to fully fill the lungs, and then to fully empty the lungs, it's a long outgoing exhalation. And as this cycle of breathing is complete, then there is maybe a tiny pause that you noticed before the next breath is going into your body. And as I said before, if your mind is active, remember this is what the mind does. That's the only thing it knows. So it gets quite unsettled if the attention is taken or shifted away from the mind. So it's very common and normal that it is activated and is competing for your attention. When that happens now and throughout this practice, good on you for noticing, because then you have choice. Once you notice, you can decide whether you want to shift the focus back on the breath right now, or whether you prefer to get lost in the thoughts, this endless chain of thoughts coming in. And remembering that you actually right now don't have to do this, that you actually can really allow yourself to set a priority here and focus on the breath as best as you can, noticing breathing in, noticing breathing out. And at the same time, feeling that stability of the earth, the support, supporting you in this space, in your practice right here, right now. And maybe just noticing as you're really embodying this experience means that you're really noticing those sensations that are generated with every incoming breath, the rising and falling or expanding and contracting. What that feels like to be present in this particular way with intention. And the intention to stay and be present. You can even move between the awareness of the breath or the connection that you do have with the earth, with that support, with those sensations. Being held in this moment. And breathing in, knowing that you're breathing in. And breathing out, knowing that you're breathing out. So, and if you like, for the remaining time of our practice, you can just continue with the awareness of the breath and that sort of sort of experimenting with that element of the earth and feeling that connection, or just following my instructions. And the invitation would be right now shifting the focus of attention to the top of your head. And as you're turning your attention to the crown or the top of your head, noticing any sensations in this area, and also letting your awareness flow down from your head, neck, and into your shoulders. If you like, holding a little bit of attention on each part, to the top of the head, and noticing sensations in this region. And if there are no sensations, or the mind just asking the question, what am I meant to feel here? Good on the mind for picking that one up. Whatever sensation can be felt, whether a temperature, whether some vibration, whether some sense of weight or some density. Again, it's all these elements in one sensation. And if you don't notice anything, that is absolutely not a problem. You're not failing this, you're just opening up. Maybe see whether that attitude of curiosity that you can bring towards this part, the top of the head, flowing that awareness down to your neck region, and just resting there a little bit, the moment of awareness, and getting curious about those sensations that maybe can be felt in this area. And maybe also letting the attention flow into the shoulders. And being aware of the sensations. And if you're noticing any tightness or tension in this region, as we often carry the life demands in this area, see whether it would be skillful to respond with some compassion, moving, stretching, to soothe and soften this region, if that feels available to you. And then as you continue moving your focus down to your arms and to your fingertips, noticing your chest, the abdomen and the back. Maybe noticing the sensations that are present in these areas, your arms, your fingertips, your chest, abdomen, and the back. Really allowing the awareness to rest on each part and to be aware. whether there's any movement, any vibration, whether there's any sense of weight, heaviness, or lightness, whether there's any sensation of temperature, warm, cool, hot. And again, noticing, is the mind able to really hold that focus of attention? And if not, good on you for noticing, because then you can choose to shift the focus back to one of these areas, your arms, your fingertips, your chest, your abdomen, or your back. Or if you stayed present to the breath, then focusing or returning to the awareness of the breath, whatever works best for you right now, whatever supports you in the sense of presentness and embodying this particular way of being. And then guiding your awareness, if you feel ready for it, your awareness down, further down, letting it flow down to your hips, thighs, knees, the lower legs, the ankles and feet. And noticing how deliberate and intentional you can be as you are perhaps paying a little bit more attention to each of these parts. The lower part of the body, the hips, the thighs, the knees, the lower legs, the ankles, the feet. Being curious about those sensations that are simply generated through the way you're positioned, or maybe some other sensations might become a little bit more noticeable. If that's the case, is it possible to be with it and to respond with kindness and compassion? Or if these parts need a little bit of a stretch or movement, mindfully allow this movement to happen. And whenever you feel ready, that you feel you have observed those sensations or the absence of sensations in these parts, allowing the focus to return to your breath. And as you do so, feeling your whole body as one connected entity. Fully embodying this particular way of being present, noticing all the sensations in the body parts, the breath flowing through this body, imagining connecting all the parts of the body and getting a sense of wholeness connectedness. This is a different way of knowing. Of course, the mind knows this is a body, and this is a particular posture, and this is what you do or don't do. But it's more about that sort of informed experience from the inside, and perhaps really noticing in your heart this vastness, this space. There's actually a universe in there. As you're really being aware of this body, this entity in the here, right now. And I would like to share a quote with you as you continue in this practice. Maybe resonates with you and also with that theme of embodiment. And that is provided by Chandogya Upanishad. And it goes like this. In this body, in this town of spirit, there is a little house shaped like a lotus. And in that house, there is a space. One should know where and what it's there. What is there? One should know what is there. Why is it so important? There is as much within that little space, within the heart, as there is in the whole world outside. Heaven, earth, fire, wind, sun, moon, lightning, stars. Whatever is and whatever is not, everything is there. In that house shaped like a lotus, there is a space. Noticing what's there, that little space within the heart. Holding that whole world from the outside, inside, all the elements. Everything is in there. So letting that resonate, whatever part of this quote resonates, opening up to this opportunity to connect with that space inside, the vastness of this space, the essence of our being. And maybe letting that, if that feels appropriate, letting that from here sort of flow into your entire body. Really let it spread into each and every cell as a resource, but also let it spread again also outside into this world. This tiny space inside holds the universe. As you're breathing in and being aware of the outgoing breath. Understanding your inner self, the sensations, this experience of not only observation but also connecting with the vastness within. This inner space with all the elements of nature, the vastness of the sky, the warmth of the sun, the solidity of the earth, and the fluidity of water. And then gently, when you're feeling ready, if you're not already focusing on the breath, see whether it is possible to shift the focus to the awareness of the breath. Wherever you can meet it, wherever you can sense it right now on the in out breath. And tuning in and connecting with that cycle of breathing. That continuous flow of air into the body. And out of the body. And if you like, sort of, as we are sort of drawing this meditation to a close, maybe bringing some gentle movement back into your body, wiggling your toes, moving your fingers, touching your neck, moving your arms, stretching your legs, and getting ready to lift the gaze or open your eyes, taking in the field that is presenting to you, that is in front of you, that visual field. And if there is a gesture for you that kind of represents your commitment, your intention for the practice, your kindness, you're just being here, maybe it's a hand over the chest or heart region, or putting both hands together in front of your chest, just as a symbol to acknowledge and appreciate the practice, your commitment, yourself, and the community that has tuned in today or that is tuning in later. And yeah, if you like, you're very welcome to jot down a comment how this practice went for you. How did you go with the intention? How did you go with the attention? How did you go with responding? How did you go with the attitudes? Just noticing that inner space, holding that vastness, that whole world and all the elements. Whatever part maybe spoke to you, resonated. Remember, there is no right or wrong. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here today, and I will get back in touch with you for our December practice. That will be perhaps a bit of an opportunity to wrap up this year. And yes, if you can, please join me or join us then, and we take it from there. You know where I am if you do have any questions, or if you want to meet me individually, don't hesitate, email me or give me a text on my phone. Otherwise, I see you in about a month to conclude this year together. Take good care, everyone. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.